Hey, welcome to Night Shift Video. My name is James, and tonight I am joined by this guy.
I'm Cody.
Cody, I have a story for us tonight.
Let's go.
A couple, but the first one, a doppelganger robbery.
Interesting.
So we did a doppelganger story a while back, kind of
We
a
did.
whole episode about doppelganger stories.
Yep.
And then this popped up today, and I found it very interesting.
Okay, hit me.
So there's this dude. Well, first of all, there's an aggravated robbery,
Okay.
which I don't know that you could have aggravated robberies, but I guess if the victim gets harmed during the robbery, it becomes an aggravated robbery versus like
Just stealing something.
yeah, or if they like straight up like purposefully like attack them, then it's an assault and robbery. But if they like
you steal the old lady's purse, she falls
down, now it's aggravated robbery.
Interesting. Okay.
So there was an aggravated robbery, and the lady sees the person. There were multiple eyewitnesses who see the guy. So he tries to steal a purse. She ends up holding on to the purse, but he ends up getting away with like her phone or something.
Okay.
And then like she gets knocked down, hurts herself when she hits the ground. Now it's become an aggravated robbery. So multiple eyewitnesses. One of them gets his license plate.
Oh.
So the license plate belonged to a guy named Rick Amos. Police went to find old Rick.
Sure.
He wasn't home that day. Whatever.
Good enough.
In the meantime, they have already collected like descriptions from all the witnesses and the victim and did a police lineup. And multiple witnesses picked out the same guy out of the lineup, said, that's him. That's the guy I saw knock the lady over, try to steal a purse. That's the guy.
Okay.
So this guy ends up being, his name's Richard Jones. Richard Jones.
Okay.
License plate, Rick Amos. We'll get there.
Okay.
So Jones claims innocence the entire time.
Okay.
Case goes to trial and everything. He even had a full-on alibi. He was at a birthday party.
Multiple witnesses.
Multiple witnesses, friends, family, tons of people put him at this birthday party while this robbery is occurring. Not enough. He's found guilty.
What?
Extremely heavy sentence. Bro's sentenced to 19 years in prison.
What was the aggravation? Like she broke a hip?
I don't know. It had to be bad. Because
Holy-
19 years is a long damn
It's
time.
a long, like I've known people who have done, I don't know this guy's full sentence, and if they
Sure.
like tried to pad something, but like I know people who've done a lot worse for a lot less.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. So this guy, he ends up in jail. He's been in jail for 15 years. Been in prison 15 years.
almost full sentence.
Almost his full sentence. And he's already done every appeal he possibly could. It always gets shut down. Complete denial. Stop dicking us around. You're the guy. And 15 years in, a lot of the other inmates start mistaking him for someone else. A lot of the other inmates start calling him Ricky. And he's like, whoa, I'm Richard.
Yeah.
I'm not Ricky. Who the fuck's Ricky? So he finds out there's this guy named Rick Amos, who just got put in the same facility.
Stop it.
Talks to his lawyer. Lawyer pulls up mugshots of Rick Amos. These guys look nearly identical. So,
Dude, that's crazy.
Richard, with this new information, and his lawyer,
Yeah.
they contact the. This happened in Michigan. They contact the Midwest Innocence Project.
Of course it would be Michigan. So let me air my disdain for Michigan. And no, that's not a
The
political
Ohio
statement.
boy,
Yeah.
coming in here with Michigan hate.
I really want to make it clear that this is not a political statement. This is a Michigan statement. I'm from Ohio. I lived in Michigan for a year. If you're from Michigan, no offense, but you can go fuck yourself. Like, I'm just kidding. This is a lot of love.
they go to the Midwest Innocence Project. They end up getting another trial. And the jury this time around basically says, looking at two images of this person, we don't feel confident enough knowing that we would be sending a man to jail to say one or the other was him,
What?
including some of the same eyewitnesses. They're like, yeah, it's too close. We can't make the call. So he ends up getting out of
Okay,
jail.
I was gonna say, like, at least tell me he gets out. Like,
But this is, at this point, it's been 17
years.
2 years before his sentence would have been over anyway.
Good.
It's rough, but he does get out.
Gracious.
So I have a picture here to show you. I'll throw one up for everyone watching on YouTube.
I'm very excited to
Audio listeners, you're just going to have to check it out or listen with your earballs to Cody's reaction.
I'm going to describe everything that I see.
So when I hand this to you, guy on the left
'Kay.
is Richard, who was innocent.
Okay.
Guy on the right is Rick, who is guilty.
Okay. They are so similar. I would say we have cornrows, goatee, fuzzy eyebrows. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm
It's
trying
tough,
to, like,
man. It's tough.
a lot.
As someone from the Midwest, too,
Yeah.
and I'm sure Michigan is very similar,
Yeah.
there's definitely something to be said for racial profiling
Yep.
in this case.
Yep.
I saw
That's a good way to put it, because I didn't know how to say it. Like,
Yep. I saw a light brown skinned man with cornrows and a goatee.
Yep.
And then that's the only thing that you saw.
Yep. One has like a little bit of salt and pepper in the goatee. One doesn't. But at the end of the day,
Which,
like, even the goatees,
years apart, that could have been different. Who
sure,
knows?
Sure.
Yep.
But like, even the goatee is just like shaped the same. The cornrows are about the same length. Like one, I would say the distinguishable feature is the ears. But like,
I thought the ears looked off too. But as an eyewitness to a crime, like, that's not going to be something that pops in your head.
Yeah.
If anything, though, I mean, I'm not using this to say, hey, Michigan people, don't be racist.
Certainly not.
I mean, yes, don't be racist, but I'm not saying you're all racist.
Yeah.
I would say, though, just the holes of the American justice system, that with no evidence other than eyewitnesses who say, yes, this is a light brown-skinned man with cornrows and a goatee, and I saw a light brown-skinned man with cornrows and a goatee do this robbery, can put a man in prison for 19 years.
Yeah.
Dear God.
My goodness. Oh, yeah. Yeah. That is like, that's a dystopian nightmare, right? Like,
dude, it's
some
people have this,
people,
but like, it's
right?
definitely one of my like fears in life, that like I just get pulled over for a traffic stop and they're like,
it just escalates and snowballs, and then
I'm like, wait, what happened? How am I here? Like, I didn't kill anybody. What are you talking about? And they're like, you had 6 tons of meth in your truck. And I'm like, what? Like these are things that I think about. These are things that I think about.
I don't do meth.
So speaking of meth, let me pivot here.
Okay.
Jones does get released in 2017.
Yep.
The downside to the story, by 2019, he is then arrested on a federal indictment charge with possession of cocaine, meth, and illegal firearms. Now, you know, a dozen in one hand, half dozen in the other. Maybe a criminal was a criminal, or maybe he was falsely arrested again, and it was also Ricky's fault. Who knows, right?
Because they're both out by this point. We're not sending either to jail. Damn it, Ricky. Wait.
And Ricky, they weren't able to charge him or try to find him guilty of that same crime that Richard was found guilty of, because the statute of limitations had run out by that point. So, and he never publicly has admitted to it. But I mean, it seems pretty obvious that it was probably him.
Can you get double jeopardy for looking like somebody? Can't try me because you tried that guy. You said he's innocent.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, I know. It is. All right, so other stories we got today. I got 2 cornfield stories.
I'm ready, because if you're not from the Midwest, it's cornfield season. If you can't hear just the slight,
it's like right at the end of it.
Yeah,
but yeah,
dude, if you're listening, and if you're a consistent listener, you can probably hear the tonal quality change in my voice today.
Oh yeah,
I've had many people say, "Hey, sound a little nasally," and I say, "Yeah, because it went from 30 and it's going to be 70 tomorrow." Also,
I woke up this morning and I asked Google what the temperature was going to be, and it said cold as shit. And I was like, oh, so it's so cold, I probably don't need to take allergy medication today. I quickly found out that I should have taken my allergy medication today.
Yeah, I literally my whole 30 minutes to my work, it was just people plowing fields or harvesting. It's not plowing,
Yeah.
but yes, dust everywhere. Anyway,
Everywhere.
sorry,
Everywhere.
continue. Cornfields.
All right, so this is from a Reddit user using a throwaway account. This is throw2398065. This guy was driving on US 40, which was
I know US 40 well.
roughly he was 25 miles westish of Indianapolis. It's an Indiana story. And he said it was right around midnight. So he says, anyone who drives that way knows that that route is just miles and miles of cornfields. And says it was a very routine drive and also a summer drive. I was spending more time looking out for deer than anything else.
Sure.
In searching for deer, I caught some eye shine and slowed down to about 35. But I did notice that the shine I saw was more of an orange, fiery color than normal for a deer. As I got within about 30 yards, I could see that it was not a deer producing the eye shine, but a strange gray mass sitting at the edge of the cornfield just before the tree line. When I got about 20 yards away, it stood up. I was still confused as to what exactly I was looking at until it stood all the way up and it was only about 8 feet outside my passenger window. It looked like a gray, emaciated man dressed like he was in a Great Depression era suit with a brown fedora, with fire instead of eyes and nothing for a face. He looked to be about 8 feet tall, and it just felt like he was staring into my skull. As he started to pass behind me, I watched him turn and casually step back into the cornfield.
Ew. This is this kind of reminds me of what's the Stephen King film Netflix it's a Stephen King
In the Tall
book.
Grass?
No.
Oh, nope.
Actually, it reminds me of the guy of
Children of the Corn.
No, it's not. No, I see where you're going with this, but it's the Stephen King novel. Netflix just made it into a film. But the chick who's like tied up in the bed, the guy has a heart attack.
Gerald's Game.
Yeah.
Oh, like that guy?
Yeah.
Dude, that guy's so fucking creepy.
Yeah. That's weird. So what's really interesting, sorry, I'm just going to jump on this for a second.
I love it.
Being from the Midwest, being from cornfields, this is not, I've heard of a figure like this. Not necessarily in a suit, but a biped humanoid.
Yeah.
And like we got to get away from like the Bigfoot stuff, right? Like,
Sure.
There's a lot of, especially in Central Ohio, South Central Ohio, there's a lot of Bigfoot stuff. But like this is like a reoccurring thing as well.
Yeah.
And it's like it's hard telling like is this lore, like are people just making this crap up?
Right.
But like this idea of it is a gray man, nondescript.
Yeah.
Always tall. Not like I don't know that I've ever heard of
my
like
story
8 feet,
is that
but
I've seen something grayish, whitish colored, pale, very tall.
8 foot though.
Maybe
That's
8
pretty
foot.
tall. That's pretty
maybe.
tall.
I mean, it was like uncomfortably tall.
Okay.
Like
Skinny though.
skinny though.
See, because I feel like skinny already casts an uncomfortable tall.
Right.
Like
That's true.
Like a man who is like
This thing I saw
6'8", 300 pounds.
I mistook it for possibly being a horse the first time that I saw it.
Oh, okay.
So like its head was like
head would be
pretty far up. Maybe not quite 8 feet, but like 7. Yeah.
7.5. Okay. Which like I don't know. Like it seems like I don't know. Being I don't know. Like it seems like to a listener, to a casual listener, like the difference between 7 and 8 feet, maybe not that big of a deal. But for somebody who is 6'4", 6'3", 6'4" on a good day, like
Oh sure.
that's a big difference. That's
Yeah.
either like I feel
This
like
becomes you
like-
seeing like an NBA player versus you seeing something completely unnatural.
exactly. And maybe this is a difference between my life and everybody else is like we have a really good friend who's often on the show, Josh, who is he's short.
Yeah.
And so like I would imagine for him to looking up is all the time.
Oh yeah.
But I make
Seeing you is just as scary as seeing something 8 feet.
yeah. But like for me to think like, oh, I feel short. Like we used to go to church with a
Right.
guy who made me feel short.
Right.
But he wasn't like scary tall. We
Yeah.
have Alex, who's on the show, is taller than me.
Right.
Like doesn't make me feel uncomfortable. But
Something
8
8
foot
feet, yeah.
would make me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Sorry, we got us on a tangent there.
You're good. All right, this next story is out of Minnesota. It's this guy named Frank Semko. So he says that he worked at this cheese factory that was in
wait. I'm sure that this is weird and creepy, but I just got to stop you there. Is there anything more like
just
Nordic?
Midwest.
Yeah. Like Nordic Midwest, so like now that my brother-in-law is from Minnesota, I now have dubbed it. I don't know that this is a thing. I call it the Nordic Midwest because I figured out like everybody from up, they're all Scandinavian,
So a bunch of Scandinavians and Swedes.
They love cheese. They love cold. they love like 9 months of winter. Is there anything
it's
more?
Skyrim in America is what it is.
Is there anything more Scandinavian Midwest than working in a cheese factory? Anyway,
so this cheese factory was in the middle of nowhere.
Of course it was.
And it was surrounded by cornfields, essentially. Okay. And he says this story happened in about 2004. There was a lot of bats like in the area. And so, like, one thing that he would regularly do, go out for a smoke break, and you could, like, see the bats, you know?
Sure.
And so he's like, one night I was out there taking a smoke, watching the bats. I looked down at the edge of the cornfield, and something was moving. It was the size of a small child and very, very skinny. Pale, with something that looked like a head of straight black hair. It moved in a sort of jerky gait, like someone dancing the robot very badly. It moved in chunks. Legs, hips, torso, shoulders, neck, and finally head.
Ew.
It was looking back into the cornfield, or at least I felt like it was. I started to feel prickly all over. I didn't know what it was. I thought it might have been a heron or some kind of large bird at first, but it also just looked too much like a person. It didn't move like a person. Gradually, step by step, it moved toward me. Letting my curiosity better my fear, I moved toward the edge of the dock, which was raised a few feet off the ground. When I got within a few feet of the edge, the thing looked directly at me. I was paralyzed. I could have run, but I was stuck somewhere between feeling terrified and intrigued. It moved. Its face still pointed at me. It ratcheted its body in that disconcerting, jerky movement toward the cornfield and went into it. I tried to watch where the field moved as it passed, but the corn remained perfectly still. I noticed that all the crickets were silent. After a few minutes, nothing happened. I stood out there for another hour, but it never came back, and I never saw it again.
Ew. Don't like that. Don't like children moving in herky-jerky fashions. This is coming from a man whose child sometimes moves in herky-jerky fashion. Also,
I think the most, like, the creepiest part of that story is, again, anyone who's lived near cornfields, like when something's in the corn, you can see it. Like they sway, they bend, they move. Yeah. And to be looking for that and everything stays still, that creeps me out.
They're also like, so not to discredit this guy, but like, if Jesus, sorry, we got this
ghosts.
We got ghosts. Also, like, it makes a very distinct noise, like almost like limbs breaking. So, like, that's also something that, like, he would have picked, like, oh, it's not moving if they're skinny enough to squeeze. Like, if they are somehow able to,
you can't move through corn silently.
You can't move through silent, and you really like it would be a tall task to not move a stalk, but like, you're not moving through it silently.
No.
Like, that's weird.
Pretty good, right?
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
All right. Well, we are going to be discussing the movie His House. That is our film of the week. So we'll be right back with our thoughts on our feature presentation, His House.
And now our feature presentation.
And we are back with our thoughts on His House. So this flick is a Netflix exclusive, dropped just before Halloween. I figured, it's probably going to be garbage, but also figured like it was our due diligence. Yeah. This time of year, the pattern has been, once we get past Halloween, it is, let's make sure we scoop up every 2020 release before the end of the year so that we have something to talk about. Because some of the most fun I have on the show, some of our most successful episodes are our year in review wrap-ups of all the movies of the year.
Well, a lot of time, some of them they can sneak under the radar.
It's true.
Especially when you get exclusive releases. Like, you just don't have, or often you don't have commercials, right? Like
Right.
Bird Box had commercials. I distinctly
Sure.
remember Bird Box commercials. But like, I don't know, they just pop up. And so when you told me about this film,
Yeah.
title gives me nothing.
Nothing.
I did a quick Google search while I was at a stoplight on my way here, which really gave me nothing.
Yeah.
Like it told me what I learned in like the first 2 minutes of the film. It's just like, I don't know, like Netflix exclusive. So far, the deck is stacked against it, right?
Well, and I'll say let's jump right into our first point, the cover. The cover doesn't give you much.
Yeah.
Doesn't even look like a horror film.
No.
Just a bunch of people.
And I will, I didn't know if I wanted to like admit this on air, but I'm going to. Like, we are if you are listening to this in the future, you don't understand the plight that is 2020 election season. Like, I just, it's not that I'm a political activist or want people to vote. Like, I'm kind of semi-famous, infamous, if you will, in our friend group for like going on a rant once, like tipsy at a Mexican restaurant, like encouraging all my friends to vote.
I've voted in every election since that rant.
Boom, and
it worked.
So it's one of those things that like I am very I'm a social studies teacher, like
local and national. You've convinced me.
Yeah, I minored in political science in college, but like I also like sometimes you just need that escape, right? And like, and like I saw the cover, I read like that one tagline that came up in Google, or when I Googled it, and it was just like, this is a social commentary, and not that they don't have their place. Like, I feel like we have, if anybody has like supported that from a horror standpoint, we have, right? Like even going back to like doing Twilight and stuff like that, or Twilight Zone. Twilight. We
will not review the Twilight series. No, that's not happening.
That's for a different show where people suck people's bloods. But I didn't know like if I was ready for that.
I get that, and I would say that some of like we have seen this rise of, I don't know, social commentary horror. Some people may call it social justice horror, which gives it its own kind of connotations. And I feel like there's a pretty big divide for a lot of people. And obviously at the crux of that divide are Jordan Peele and Get Out. Like,
definitely
huge. Yep. And I would say that in any of these maybe more socially charged films that have come out that we've watched, most of them have been from pretty high caliber people, such as a Jordan Peele, such as a Blumhouse, such as someone who has money to throw at the project 100%. To begin with.
Yeah.
So the idea of a Netflix exclusive Get Out type movie sounds like it could end up being rough.
Yeah.
So let's get into the back of the box here.
Let's do it.
A refugee couple makes a harrowing escape from war-torn South Sudan, but then they struggle to adjust to their new life in an English town that has some evil lurking beneath the surface. And that's all we get. Video Store Awards to Wunmi Moske as Rial, the strong female lead who says things like, "With everything I've seen that men are capable of, you think I'm scared of ghosts?" God, so fucking good.
Okay. Okay. I hope you have maybe a couple more.
I got more.
Dude, this role. This is who I was gonna give my award to.
Yeah.
So like, I'll let you have your platform. Dude, she has, and we discussed it in the film where like she'll have these lines where it hits to the core of you as a human, but in a way that you haven't experienced that plight,
right?
But you get it. But then she'll say something that just like freaks you out very spiritual.
But then she's like, "You got to follow the witch so we can get our dead daughter back." And I'm like, what the fuck?
Wait. No, that's not what I was gonna say. Yeah, I try, if I give an award, that I try to reserve it just to one.
Yep,
that's who's gonna get my award.
Yeah,
she was
fantastic.
Good.
She's also in the Lovecraft Country series, which we're probably not going to take time to review because it's a whole TV series, and we don't really do that on the show that much. But it's great. So she's having a fucking killer year. I'll just say that.
I will say also, there's one scene, and they do it a couple times where it is a close up of each character's face, and it, I guess it could hit everybody differently. For me, I've really gotten into a couple different like blogs and like photo blogs. I don't know if they have a different fancy name, but like of like people, and you learn characteristics. You learn kind of these things to look for. They do a really good job of that. But there are sometimes, there's one in particular where it is like she is staring into your soul. Like it is. I don't want to say scary, like it's moving, jarring. I don't know, like it's uneasy. Anyway, keep going.
Yeah, so next up we have Sopa Dirasu as Bull, the banker turned handyman who seems to be driven mad by his own survivor's guilt. We have Matt Smith as Mark, the social worker who finds himself in a very difficult position of handling Rial and Ball's case. And then we have Javier Botet as the conniving corpse witch. Lastly, we have writer-director Remy Weeks in his feature film debut.
Wow.
So this guy hasn't really done much. He's done some shorts, some music videos, things like that, and just really came out swinging on this one.
On the I know that I'm going to sound ignorant here. Like Remy Weeks, that name sounds familiar. Like
I don't think you would know anything that he's worked on.
Interesting.
Nope. I did a little bit of dive into his filmography. Nothing. I think that you'd notice. Remy was a refugee, if I understand correctly, or his family was. And so he kind of took a lot of real world experience that he and his family had to create this movie, as well as a bunch of haunted house movies such as The Shining, The Innocents, The Others. Some of those, even I would say, he didn't say this in the interview, but I would even say something like The Sixth Sense.
Sixth Sense, that's what I was going to say.
It definitely has some of those vibes.
Yeah.
I will say much scarier probably than most haunted house movies. It does a damn good job at being frightening.
100%.
So this movie features roach-infested apartments, ghostly humming, a hole in the wall, a bird in the wall, ropes in the wall, hands in the wall, public urination, ghostly peaches, ghostly whispers, zombie ghosts, eyes in the walls, ghost girl, creepy cat lady in the window. Our death count. It's very difficult to describe a number to it, but we're going to get into the deaths. We see many drownings. We see a village massacre, one skin-digging witch almost kill, and then one witch throat slitting. 2 thumbs up. We say check it out. Cody, what are your thoughts on his house?
Dude, it is good on so many levels. So first, I want to try to take less time with like the social justice portion or the social commentary. What I'll call it is social commentary, because that can hit those phrases can hit people in a million different ways. I certainly don't know what it would be like to be a refugee.
Correct.
After going to a liberal arts college that had a bent towards social justice, we'd spent a lot of time studying it. Being a history major, I've spent plenty of time studying it. I can't imagine, and I think it would come with its own. I watch horror movies partially to escape real world horror, right? Like it's a level of horror that I never want to understand because like she says, like I've seen what real men do, right?
Yeah.
Like that's horror that can be inflicted on this world. And so the fact that he successfully made a horror film out of what could be just a scary documentary, right? Like,
right.
Unbelievable.
This could have been Amistad for the story of asylum-seeking refugees.
Yep.
But it's not. It's scarier.
It is a horror movie. Like, I was not expecting a horror movie. Dude, I mean, there was literally like...
They don't waste any time either.
They waste no time. They get right into it. The main wall person, if that's what we want to call her, it's terrifying. Made me jump multiple times.
Oh yeah,
like just even the
Cody was jumping
in.
I wish we had like a live feed of like counting your jumps. It was great.
But it was also just like the potential for scenes. Like after I don't know, like how many scary movies have we watched together? Over.
Oh, I'm saying we're over 200 probably.
I was gonna ballpark somewhere 300.
Yeah.
So let's aggregate 250.
Sure.
You learn the scenes, like even the one of like where he's laying, he's gonna lean up, you just don't know what's behind it,
right? And
so it was a creepy scene. We both said, bah! But like it was scary. But some of these shots, man, were just they were good. They were unique. They were scary. It was a creature that like we haven't seen, right? Like it's a humanoid tribal figure, but it's not like cheesy tribal. It's something that still feels relevant. Like it's good.
There's a mask that appears in the film that the two things that it reminded me of the most, one of was Noroi the Curse, that Japanese found footage movie with a really good creepy mask in it. But it also kind of gave me some vibes of like I know you haven't seen the movie, but you know what I'm talking about, the Pet Sematary reboot with the animal masks that the kids are wearing. It kind of gave me those vibes too. And I'll at least say this much: they made this figure much more frightening than the kids in Pet Sematary everywhere. That's for sure.
I will also say I really appreciated the split. So, like, I love what I call implosion movies. I'm sure that they have a different term in the industry, but like this decay of man, where they are
downward spiral.
Yeah, they are spinning into the toilet bowl, and we get this effect of a couple doing it together, but also simultaneously.
It's like whenever those things at like the mall or the zoo where you drop like a coin in, and it's like they were spinning like opposite directions, but in unison, and then they get to the bottom and they start going really fast and hit each other. That's exactly what this movie is.
And it does it really well. Like it's because you've already given up the two thumbs up. Like I feel like I can gush it about it a little bit. Like. It's good. And again, like, especially if you have that humanitarian like bent to you, like, and if you don't, I still feel like you can really appreciate this movie. But I don't know. We've talked about it a lot recently. I don't know why it's come up so much, but like as a father, expecting a father of two now, like I have this really weird sensitive spot where like kid harm, kid violence, this stuff like hits me really hard.
Oh yeah.
And this is a good movie. It is good. It is a thumbs up, 100% for me.
It's a good movie. Good movie. 100% a thumbs up. Or are you giving it a 100%?
I'm sorry. No.
We don't have to really do percentages anymore. I think the thumbs ups are good enough.
Yeah.
But if you want to give it a percentage rating, feel free.
I would. So as a teacher, I look for like what I try to do is I grade a paper. And I try to imagine what I would think it would be as I've gone through the rubric, and I try to match them. And I would say this is an A paper, like this is an A movie. I would say I would never give any movie that we ever do 100%. Like I just can't imagine that. There is no perfect horror movie because that's saying that it could cross all lines, could cross all bounds. But I would say like 92, 93.
Yeah,
like,
that's great.
This is good. It's a good, and I feel like for such a crappy 2020, like I could look back on this in 3 years and say like, I wasn't that good. And it certainly could not be that good. But for right here, right now, 2020 has sucked. COVID has sucked. The fact that
a lot of movies
from us,
a lot of movies we're looking forward to didn't come out. Still no Halloween Kills. Still no Candyman. I'm pissed about it.
Yep. And those movies could suck, and we could say like it wouldn't matter if they came out in 2020 or 2030 or 2050. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
But like that was an anticipation. We thought we were going to be spending this Halloween watching those movies, and I really thought that any decent filmographer who's gotten to this point in the year, they're holding it, right? Like they're not going to even if it's a Netflix exclusive, just keep it in your back pocket until something happier, till something, I don't know, till after the political season. Like there's so many risks that they could have taken here. And so like hats off to you for releasing now. Yes, it's a Halloween movie, but it's also 4 days from when we're filming. It's 1 day from the election season. We're still in this COVID crisis. I would say 92, 93.
Yeah,
that's what if we're asking for percentages.
Hey, well, there you have it. Rotten Tomatoes has it at 100% right now. So other people seem to like it too, which is why I'm really glad that we did it. I think that it'll definitely come up at least in your and I tops for the year if we can't get anybody else to watch it. But that about does it for us here at the Night Shift. I am James, and this guy is...
I'm Cody.
We're just saying, hey, thanks for stopping in.